Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the
Whoa!
For the 2021
This
World
is
Final
new!
Finalists. I'm proud to be joined by Kobe and Vedius. Gentlemen,
Wait,
it
what?
all comes down to this. Finally, two
Is he in
first
the
seeds
studio?
in the final.
And that shining Summoner's Cup
That
in
is
the middle of it all. Atlas drawing everyone's
amazing.
attention.
Honestly,
Let's
Atlas
jump right
deserves this.
to the picks and bans.
For how much
Union
he's actually
Pacific
done for the
red side,
LCK
no
as a
surprise
region
here.
casting
Expect
it.
these to remain, but Lee
And
Sin is a big question. I feel like every team that was given Canyon,
he's always been a
Lee Sin
big
has
part of
regretted
the
it.
league.
And what is
I'm
their final
honestly
ban going to be?
amazed
Are they
he's
gonna
actually
overcome?
casting the
And already,
final.
how interesting is this? The Lissandra ban comes out from Dark to say, hey, want to ban
Because
Lee?
if he-
We'll take LeBlanc.
see, the issue
you
is-
wanna remove LeBlanc? We'll take Lee.
If
And
he was in a
Set up the trap.
career
They
with
certainly have a free
these
ban.
two,
They may
it
as
would
well
be
throw it
kind
out
of
there.
a
Listen, as you said, going to be
hard
banned
cast.
away. Obviously, LeBlanc the follow-up, but now what do we do on the other side?
Due
Jin's
to
been such high
desync.
priority. Jarvan's still available as well.
I love the Jin point because it rose
But this is such
to
a nice
astronomical
thing for
levels
him.
of priority in the T1 DK series.
And then you have
and go showing that he does have other
Vedius
options,
on
though,
his
because
second
now
World
Jin
Final.
taken away,
That's pretty
he's
nice.
gone to the Ziggs, which also gives
And
you long
Kobe
range, safe wave clear, or
is a
even
veteran of the
Draven,
final.
which I expect a much less chance of because Jin's already decent pick into Draven. So this puts more priority, more crunch time on that. Ziggs possibility, and that kind of loads you up with AP.
Looking at
so
picks.
the bottom lane, there it is. They don't hesitate with that AP.
Yeah,
Question
this
answered
is
immediately. Thank you
standard.
very much.
I really like it, but the whole top lane champion pool is wide open. Both of these top laners love their Jace, love their Graves, and if you've got a Ziggs in the bottom lane, you need tons of AD damage. The lethality becomes all that
See, if
more
I'm
valuable.
EDG here,
So
I'd
now,
go
that
for
Graves or
the
Jace looking real juicy for Dumbo.
They certainly
Jace
do.
or Graves.
Con Jace would be so big for him. And
Because
last
if you think
professional
about it,
series,
Oh yeah.
you
iconic champion for him,
Damwon
but they're gonna
do
go
not
with
want to
support
take the
down on
cannon.
bottom side, grab
Because
that
they've already got a
very
Ziggs, they've already got a
quickly.
LeBlanc.
Super
Don't
high
take the
priority
cannon.
shipment as far as the engaged supports
Because
go.
that is
Yes,
so
there have been more and more enchanters creeping in, but Rakan puts a lot
not
of
good for their
on
comp.
those, and you can combine with Ziggs for some very surprising
Instead, they're actually going to lock the Rise. Okay.
Well, I am a little surprised to see the Rise. Of course, if you've looked at Scout's match history, you probably wouldn't be.
It's top of the
because
list.
It is top of the list
But he's
for
played
him.
11 unique champions, Vedi.
Right, but his most played is definitely the Rise, so it's a big comfort pick for him. And when you kind of look at the mid-jungle duo, yes, it can certainly be strong, but picking it into LeBlanc, Showmaker loves this matchup. It was one that he was more than happy to play into Faker himself and was able to get the better of him especially when paired up with the Kiana. And this is something I'd love to see EDG ban away. I like the Talon ban, but they also need to take Canyon off that Kiana because of how well it enables the LeBlanc. But then, of course, Xin Zhao still up and available, so you know that Canyon's options are still very, very wide.
Yeah. Big thing for Damwon is that they have been so flexible, especially Canyon and Showmaker in the champion pools, so they have a lot of confidence in being able to get through the second round of the bans here. But I just love that we're still seeing similar trends continue for both of these teams, and EDG have focused very heavily on team fighting and still went with that setup for Jarvan. You mentioned the rise and the possibilities.
Interestingly, Damwon banned the
I wanna see
cannon.
the question of Flandre. They already ban out the cannon here from topside by DK, but if they also leave the Graves up, that feels like a no-brainer with it being picked over and over and over for them.
I really like the Leona removal as well here from Damwon. It is something that Mako did bring out, even though throughout this tournament he has been playing a lot of range support. Showcasing the Leona was a big answer last week in their semifinals that helped them pull through. But with the cannon gone, with the Gwen still open, it could be an option for Damwon. But when you already have an AP bot side of the map, perhaps EDG is sitting there saying, well, we expect you to do an AD top jungle right now, and that means that Graves should be a pretty solid blind.
Yeah, and so far this draft looks like the meta combined with EDG. It's pretty quintessential right now. But if you look over the other side, Damwon are doing a similar thing to what we saw T1 try to do against EDG in their first matchup, which is probably going to be the Jace, Ziggs, sort of pseudo-poke composition for late game threat around objectives and things like this, as that's the answer. So never mind.
Yes.
Never mind. And that's Khan
That's
playing
big.
Yasuo as well.
Yes, we were looking for the spicy picks.
It happens in game one.
Exactly, we get it in game number 1 here. Definitely will create a volatile top side of the map.
Plus, you can combine that with the three-pronged strike from Xin to knock up a target. You've got a Rakan knock up. That's a lot of potential for the Last Whisper.
Triangle of the map, that mid jungle top lane picks.
from Yasuo or his ultimate, whatever it's called, because it's not Last Whisper.
As you get. Those are very volatile lanes with lots of kill pressure.
And now Mako's looking at one of these engage supports. You guys have already mentioned that
No.
we haven't seen him so much on
is he?
these. Okay, never mind. We're putting a clock in the bottom lane instead. All right, the spice wasn't reserved.
That's actually
just
pretty
for
cool
Damwon.
because
it is, of course, also
in theory,
PDG
you
is
just-
the Zillion is locked in low.
whenever Yasuo goes in with the ultimate, he can just use the ult, his ult onto someone that's going to be locked up. Because, let's be honest, Damwon have a very strong pick comp.
Zillion can be a big flop if you don't get it off
And
before the recon engage. It's all about
EDG have a lot of burst team fighting style with the Rise and the Jhin combining.
Oh, I'm just so excited
This is
about
a
this
very
matchup. First game
interesting
already,
two
we've got
set of
very
drafts.
unique And gentlemen, this is Khan's first ever professional Yasuo game. And it's in the World Finals, potentially his final series. What a time to pull it out.
Perhaps fishing for a world skin, maybe?
World skin for Khan?
We were wondering whether
Yes!
there was going to be a sneaky Riven game thrown in
Maybe.
or something, but instead he's gone with the Yasuo, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing what he's been cooking up in solo queue and behind the scenes for us, because when Khan debuted, he was all aggression. He was basically a Riven one-trick when he made his debut, which was many years ago now. To come back to his roots here in game 1 of the final is, yep, that
This is going to be interesting for a first game.
Adjustments here. On the other side, EDG taking one of the tools that T1 used against Damwon successfully early on to counter some of the first options that they had in the Zillion. Now it's about executing, though, and actually piloting that well. They've also invested in stealing away the Jhin from Ghost, and we have seen some very big pick opportunities off of this champion.
Onto the Rift we go. I'm hyped.
So excited getting into the World Finals
This is
here.
going to be
Yeah,
super
here we are onto the
duper
Rift
good.
for game number 1 of the 2021 World Championship. Already, I think the teams have delivered these drafts feeling very EDG, feeling very Damwon Kia, especially the top lane, feeling very calm at the moment.
So the first thing I would like to draw our attention to as we wave the camera.
He is in
Beryl
the
is
studio.
running Predator on Rakan. He is
Damn.
all about the Rones. It seems like that each
What?
Damwon member is taking it in turns as to who will run Predator. Perhaps we'll see a Khan Predator top lane later on in the series. But what is crucial here, and what is something that we need to focus on, is when we saw Showmaker drafting this LeBlanc into the Rise in the semifinals, it was constantly attacking that mid lane, looking to shut Scout down. And when you have the Rakan, Xin Zhao, LeBlanc combo, I expect Damwon to be looking to do the same thing again.
And this is them learning off of their series versus T1.
I have
One
more
of the
food
ways
for
that you want to try and punish
myself
the
for
Zillion
lunch
pick
because
is
that
either
was
try
not
and go
that big.
super hard at the Zillion in lane,
Let's go
very
over there.
early laning phase, and is much more for
Yeah,
scaling,
the issue with
or
World starting at
roam
12
heavy. And the
is
Predator is
I
really
don't
signaling
get
that,
one.
yes, he definitely wants to go roam heavy here. Beryl, I feel like, has really been an underappreciated part of this Damwon lineup since the MSI underperformances from him, but especially this year at Worlds. He has been a integral part of the entire amount of success that they've had here.
So Zill and Jhin
Yeah,
have
of course,
early
Beryl
push.
took that underperformance at MSI and brought it
Yasuo
to the
will
summer
obviously
season as well.
lose
It was
level
not a
1
great
to
time for
Graves.
Beryl, all the way up
Mid
until
lane,
the World Championship.
I
But,
think
ladies and gentlemen, we want to hear
Wonk
from you.
loses
Use that
out.
Hashtag Verizon5G all chat and let us know how you feel about the World Final. Are these compositions exactly what you wanted to see? Some biffo on the bottom side here. Viper throwing out some bullets. Not quite the fourth one just yet, but EDG with control of the wave.
Now we can see that both junglers are doing opposite paths to one another, with the Xin Zhao starting on the bot side, pathing towards top, looking to potentially cover Khan in the event of any early ganks, or perhaps to look for a potential gank themselves. Or meanwhile, JJ starting up on the top side and pathing towards bot, where he expects to have prio. With the Jhin and the Zillion, you should have push in the early 2 vs 2, especially against Ziggs, who doesn't have the strongest wave early on, so he should be able to secure himself that first.
If I was
And exactly, and the reason that
JJ, I would have
EDG
actually
went for the
pathed
keyboard on
top
blue
side
buff and Gromp that you can see
instead
right
of
now
from top
for
to bot,
Andre is
because
you want to get the most out of the early pushing there with
you
Graves.
can kind of
Know you're
figure
going to
that
shove lane early.
Canyon's going to go
So they've
look
got the
for
early
top
vision
plays
here on
because
the blue up
he
that
did
was
that
fire,
all through
knowing that
the
Canyon started bottom
previous
side
series.
and should be able,
Plus, they
to
know
play
he's on
accordingly.
vision, so
Andre, he's already been able to
in
bounce the wave
theory,
off of the tower, and should be playing around. as
Flandre,
the
who's
opposite
getting
side
top
starts to
pressure, could set up for a turret dive. And obviously, yeah, Yas has the win wall, and that does make it a little bit awkward. But in theory, if he does that, he can actually
cannot be anywhere else.
allow for his team to
coordinate with just one single deep ward. So
get
it will
ganks up top.
Crabs, and as you can see, after
that would have been my opinion to do if you were EDG. Obviously, bot side and map, Ziggs and Rakan can farm under turret pretty easily. So you're basically doing the same sort of thing, but obviously you know though that Damonkey is going to look to go for a top side. You can play a bit more reactive and go for a top clear instead.
It will be this level 4 from Beryl, where you need to keep track of what he is looking for elsewhere on the map. Because we do know that he loves to roam, we do know that he loves to try and make plays pretty much everywhere that he can on the map, and you only have to look at some of the stats to identify some of those early game plays.
Yeah, I love it. And you can see here, displayed in the graphic, how high of a dual proximity Mako has on the other side. Guess what? With Zilean, that's going to remain very, very high, giving over experience there with the passive. And Barrels is going to be extremely low. We expect a back first purchase of boots so that he can use that Predator to go make that support.
That was a nice block there by Mako on the bomb.
Just showing his versatility, right? He basically designed engaged support play over in the LPL and has this Worlds demonstrated that he has a whole nother string to that bow, of course, and has been just playing for so long. Yes. Really cool to see.
So many enchanters. He fully embraced the Yuumi meta.
He certainly did.
Bunch of Yuumi there as well, and it does go into this team being so constructed around Viper.
Who doesn't enjoy the Yuumi meta?
Having a look at Flandre just shoving that wave in once again. Yasuo not exactly having the greatest of times in the early laning phase, but which Yasuo does, you know? The enemy team's Yasuo does.
In the early stages, especially up on top side, is just looking to use the wind wall to avoid damage while still picking up CS. And then you can get some kill threats since you have a Xin Zhao. Once you get post level 6, you've got knockups from Beryl, you've got knockups from Xin. Even later, Ziggs can throw satchel charges and set you up. So
will we get a first fight before Rift Herald?
The later stages, and there's Beryl's first
I don't think so.
He has his Predator boots, and he just comes over to support Showmaker as Scout.
Wait, that's Predator Rakan.
Yeah, feels like a bit of a chess match at the moment. Moving the pieces around, but not actually going for any takes.
I mean, I always love it. The first game of a best of 5, especially finals, there's just so much pressure mounting. Even as we have calm trades of CS and the draft kind of plays out as expected, but really for all of these players, as we see Beryl slowly returning to the bottom side, their entire year's worth of work.
That's a lot of damage down to
all
Zil.
of those solo queue games, all of that practice,
he's Guardian
all
as well, the
Zil,
so
distilled down to this one series, and
everything
rides on this.
So just a little bit of pressure.
Yeah, you know.
But you're quite right, and you know that in that first game, the person that makes the first play often is not always the one that's best set up for success. So it's about who will strike first, who will be the first to try and mount that lead. Because right now the gold is dead even. It has just been a large part of trading. The CS is even across the board. No early Drakes have been prioritized, but it is this Herald that we have seen be a big part of the first contention. As we are getting closer to that point, we're going to keep track of who looks to move first and these crucial item spikes.
Both junglers are bot. That's cool. And wow. EDG
1 minute away from that Herald spawn.
Could have gone for the Drake.
Very dark in the bottom side river.
Obviously, no one really prioritizes Drake anymore, which is sad.
They weren't seen walking in, but the moment that control ward drops, Darwin gets information as to where EDG is. Now they're looking to contest this red buff, and because Scout has the push in the mid lane, he will be able to assist. So EDG
good play
should be able to secure themselves the first enemy red.
And this is very basic.
Oh, they're going for it. They're
See
going.
whether Ghost can survive this one. He might be able to, as Beryl's also battling, dancing his way out, but it doesn't
Lovely
work.
play.
First blood goes to Scout and EDG.
I honestly thought that Damonkey had got away with it.
And it was about to go over the timings that are expected. When you know, because you
But
put the
I
ward
think the
as
Zillion
EDG
double
up onto the
bomb
blue buff, so there is
landed.
a guaranteed red buff start for Damwon. You know that around 650, 645, second buff spawn comes up from the one that they started on, and so they go for the invade on that second
was pretty
round.
good.
But what they weren't really accounting for was the Realm Warp in the bottom lane. Vedius gets a little bit lackadaisical. They do not respect the all-in potential of EDG.
You would have thought they would have gone for Drake there, though. Because surely you actually... Because you've got to kill bot. You could have actually gone to Drake and got that.
Being able to get that extra bit of experience, he's going to have that level up.
And force tempo on Soul.
Already getting into the pit here. The teleport does come out. Grand entrance onto the job, and they hold him up. The ulti's
they
too
just
good
bursted
for
him.
Great stun comes through, but it's too late for
Herald's
Mako.
just
and now
damn
Damwon
ones.
move back to the Herald. Ghost now getting them out of there, and the Hextech minefield is just too strong, and that is a comfortable take for Damwon Kia plus a kill.
Damwon were first on position, and they punish JJ perfectly with the numbers advantage. Damwon can easily secure the objective.
Good play.
And just like that, we're back to
From
1-1 on
Damwon
the kill board.
Yeah, you can say that again. The coordination from EDG is not there on the top side play, trying to come punish the early start on Rift Herald, but they're so desynced. Venice, going right over the back of the wall, they're good focus fire from DK to punish.
So let's see how quick he went in at 2k health.
Then you see Barrel immediately move in to try and push him out.
Straight into Barrel.
Knockup,
yeah, that's just a
so
dead.
many setups for this Yasuo, and this is where you get the combination. You get hit with one knockup, instantly dead, full combo from Damwon.
And that's a 4-person.
And this was something that we see
3-person assist
during
and
their semifinals as
4-person
well,
kill.
a lot of their engage comes off the back of JJ. So if he's gone, there is no more follow-up. You are very reliant on him to start the fights for you.
So that's fairly even across the board.
Composition. So really good.
The only difference is obviously Damwon have the Herald.
Yeah, EDG simply have to be much more precise with their timings here. You can't leave anyone out to straggle there, and if you do, you have to respect the all-in, no flash blown or anything like that. We're in the world though now, living with this Rift Herald in the hands of Canyon, and when you have Ziggs on your team, it also has that extra level of threat that you can move the Ziggs around to the same lane, and oftentimes, especially if you've done some early work on that tower, you can just Rift Herald into Satchel Charge and blow up a first objective. So this
Khan is looking for it.
Yeah, Viper able to sidestep the grand entrance, so not quite able to Predator his way forward enough there was Beryl, but still gets Viper out of the way, not able to get any summon spells just
I think
yet,
Jin's going to have to go for the Gale Force here.
SVG,
I think
says,
that's
oh God,
so he
is
can
going
actually
out with a
avoid the
statement.
Rakan knock-up.
Let's go.
Obviously,
Boys.
Rakan can charm with the
followed up
ultimate
on the
and
Rakan knockup right well with the Yasuo
get away with it.
there. That R button
Obviously,
did
you
work.
have to realize
like,
Rakan has got Predator, so Gale Force would obviously work really well.
Beryl and not Mako was so
Or Shield
important
Bow.
there. If Mako has the ultimate, all of that chain CC and that lockdown on a single target isn't quite as powerful because the Jarvan just hops back up again. So this could be very important moving further forward in the game.
It certainly could be. And I think that right now, the only reason why EDG have that gold lead is because they're able to secure a plate in mid, they secured a plate in bot, but Damwon have this Herald in their back pocket. The question is where they want to invest it. You could go to the Ziggs lane, in theory.
I think you might
the
see
to be able to secure towers early, but it depends on where you want to invest
the
your money.
Herald
it makes more sense to try
go
and
towards
funnel
top,
more gold into
towards Khan.
when you know he's going to be one of your big late game threats in a side lane.
Just
and in
because
teamfights
he's
as well. Or perhaps you just want to
in
break
need
that
of some
mid
more
tower
gold.
because CJ getting scouted,
Yasuo's
could
do
be
tend
difficult
to
with
need
this
like
composition.
2
Damwon
items in order
early
to
game.
come online and actually be useful.
Close.
An early good steal there by
yeah, mid lane tower
JJ.
would definitely be the ideal
And
situation
wow,
to get down early. It's just
that's
such
a
big
shock.
objective when you do have the
It's
here
the
that Damwon
Graves
do,
getting the
possibilities of
first
Showmaker's
mythic.
LeBlanc, one of the
That's
most feared combinations that we have in the
new
tournament.
because he hasn't
Getting
actually
fed
had
early with the
anything
early kill actually
given
going
to him this game.
He's the one
But
to get
he
the
is
last hit
farming
onto JJ. It was
exceptionally
very
well.
important for them. But if you then take the
Which,
mid tower,
that
let him
usually
roam
indicates to
around
me
with this assassin pick,
Showmaker
lose
just
control
needs
of
to
your
back
rush,
to get
that
his.
makes your rotation
There's
between
the
objectives
Gore
so much
Drinker on the
longer because you have to
Zin.
respect all this extra positioning and your lack of
Yasuo's
vision.
probably on towards
I've had a
his
few
shield bow right
requests,
now,
gentlemen,
but he didn't get it on that
since
back.
we announced that we were going to be doing the final. A lot of requests for no Cloud Souls, and thankfully, our first Drake is in fact a Cloud Drake, so no Cloud Souls for game number 1. I'm sad, but most of you guys at home probably going to be
Atlas
happy.
wanting Cloud
I
Souls.
think
What to
also
do
it's one
there?
of those games when you have Jhin plus Zillion, the Cloud Soul would have been great.
Yeah, right.
It really would have been. But we can see that
I
Herald
was ready
is
to
gonna
talk about it, but then I saw that
Herald
it
mid.
came up too early. I was
Okay,
very
this is pretty
upset.
cool.
Herald is going to charge into the mid lane, grab some plates here as Beryl.
That's not actually going to get the turret. Who actually got plates there?
But otherwise not too much more.
From EDG's perspective, this is really best case scenario for them.
Yeah, right.
You know, it's dropped, it's not really used optimally. You only get a couple plates, and Damwon realized that there's not that much time left for us to get that much gold, but that mid lane tower still stays healthy. So with EDG holding this small gold lead, I think that they're still feeling pretty comfortable for the time being.
They also threatened moving Ziggs towards mid.
So here we go. There's the Predator again. Quickness tied in with it as well, and Scout has nowhere to go. Beryl takes up the turret for a long time.
No,
but he can.
no trade.
They're going to be fine, and that's just the pick from the 2v2 in the mid lane.
And we talked about this coming out of the draft. Would Damwon look
It's
to attack
so
mid
easy
lane?
to lock up a
First
target
successful
with the
gank
quickness.
that we're able to see from Beryl. Chainsy seeing up Scout.
Beryl
quickly,
didn't
he
even
doesn't
need
have
to
the
do
plans
much
to get
there,
rid of
let's
the
be
charm.
honest.
Ends up falling to the setup from the LeBlanc as well. And now Damwon, for the first time in the game, hold themselves with
And it's a surprise, we're 13 minutes in and the Cloud Drake still hasn't died. Until now, because it's been started up.
With Ziggs coming through, they clear out this vision, if you see in the top side river there, and then Beryl coming back for the repeat on that recon, making good on his.
Oh, Zing got behind him.
Again, this is another pick by the
because Drake's being taken by EDG. Yeah, that play for Canyon's not going to work out. He is still hovering. He just cancelled his back again.
Namely with that Zillion to counter some of the burst damage options, as well
now he's
as
finally left the lane.
I wanted to talk a little bit about this because oftentimes we talk about scaling when it comes to comps like this, but let's have a look at this replay first.
Yeah, great thing about this, good vision toggle
Pop,
by the observers.
flash
that
into him, easy.
Saw was previously cleared out by them, so Beryl lies in wait. They get the full lockup onto Scout, and by the time he's done with the charm, with the CC, he knows he's dead. So well executed here by Damwon. Kind of surgical in some of these early moves. It was just the one mistake, not respecting the early realm warp on bottom side, that led to that first blood going to EDG.
Yeah, it's been a pretty interesting back and forth in this early game, but really it's the mid game where I think we get to see some of the best League of Legends from both of these teams. EDG, typically, yeah, they'll throw a couple ganks out in the early game, but it is that transition from the early to mid where they leverage their early gold lead to strong team fighting, and it's the same for Damwon, where this is where you start to unlock them on the map. This is where they'll really start to look for those picks.
Another Herald, and Damwon won it.
Well, they're looking for a bit of a pick here as Mako's burning down for now.
They've locked him in the Cataclysm. There's the can't call open up. Have a shot gonna land. There's the Javelin might just become one killer fight. It's Beryl falls. LeBlanc now is looking to go in with the chains, and she is forced back as the Chrono Shift revives the Javelin. And here comes a re-engage coming out from EDG, and they're just whopping the floor with Damwon here.
And they get it with the Viper shot here. Rift Herald plus the extra
Showmaker looking to get more kills, but Zillion is online, baby.
To save his life, revival. They get the extra
and they got the Herald. Oh,
retake control of this game now.
This is dirty, dirty plays coming out of EDG to keep the lead. And you have to think, if EDG win this game, is Zillion bannable?
Exactly. Some of the big threats to Zillion are burst damage trying to bait out the ultimate, but Mako stays
Look
strong.
how far back Mako is.
By the Rift Herald, gaining health to walk back over to
He's just
safety.
playing it so safe.
And in the early
And
game,
that is so good by
it's
EDG.
hard to work through some extra cooldowns there. There's no more DPS left
And they
for
know it.
Damwon, so well done by EDG to actually fend them off, plus securing the objective.
I think what we saw there as
And
well was
I'm gonna link back to my Damwon Kia EDG, how they play and how to beat them video. I said you need to beat Damwon Kia in draft. And I think they have here with this draft, honestly. The Zillion just counters so much.
So Khan will still need to vacate the area, but he does so with his life.
This is going to be first turret as well over to EDG.
Bottom side for the Rift Herald. Bottom side down immediately.
Boom.
First turret bonus.
This is so good for him.
The
LPL are playing well.
Extremely well for this, and remember they're focusing pretty heavily on these team fights. displaying why they keep picking JJ Jarvan
Will
over and over.
it
This is his
continue
7th
into
Jarvan
multiple
game in a
games?
row.
Because let's be
They
honest,
simply walk over to second Rift Hill,
LPL
start the fight out with the
aren't
Cataclysm,
known
force it
for
down, knowing that they have
doing
Julian
well
to back
in
them up,
full 5-game
and now
series.
pushing their winnings ahead on these objectives.
And gentlemen, coming into this series, we knew that early game would be important.
That's a
I
lie.
just wanna
EDG
highlight
have
some of
done
these
well in
early
game
stats that
fives.
we see from EDG, because in their wins, and this was at 15, they have a huge early game gold advantage. It was 15-30 where they got this gold advantage, but EDG looks best when they're able
15
to.
minutes
It was 15-30. Well, that they got ahead, yes.
Oh, right. So they weren't ahead at 15 minutes.
They were not, actually. It's a contentious one for sure.
Dangerous, very dangerous.
But the point is that you can see that when they get ahead, usually they're actually very good at closing things out. Their average game time is very short. In both wins and losses, this team does not like to waste time. So let's see if EDG can translate this into a big win against Darmon in the final.
Jarvan wasn't spotted.
Scout, clearing out some
I
waves
thought that was a
outside
realm
the
warp
map.
being
Darmon
used just
here looking
then,
to try
in
and
terms
get
of
some
sound.
Vision parity around this mid lane.
But
Viper
Jhin
dashing on forward, and of course that extra movement speed
does
that you get
damage on the
from
first
Bazillion
bullet.
is so important
He
for
took out the
champions
Rakan
like
shield, I
Jhin.
think.
Can run so damn fast.
Yeah,
But
it's very good at
4
short
members
trades.
mid
Whenever
from
you have
EDG.
limited,
Ryze is up
attack
top
speed here
side.
from the 4-bullet setup from Jhin,
Oh,
you want
good
as
spot
short trades
there
as possible,
onto
so
Khan.
the extra speed is really well paired with him. We also need to
TP
look
coming
at
in from
just the
Ryze. This
overall
is
objectives
5-man
of these
mid.
two teams and how they are different with the
This
teleport
is
coming in
very
from Scout.
early for
EDG wanna
this.
focus on that team fight,
Because the
grouping
Drake's
up with
not even
Bazillion.
up.
Meanwhile, DK need to get a surgical pick here and make use of their surprise.
They've
burst damage
seen
as
where
well as locking
LeBlanc is.
someone up with
Showmaker
XP,
obviously off to
or
the
else
side. He's spotted
Bazillion
out on that
is just gonna
ward.
take over.
It's going to be
Full
swept
information for
away.
both teams right now.
But
Eyes
Graves
on
just
this
stepping
confirmed
forward.
Drake. The Scout getting poked,
And the
but
poke
EDG's
is
health
just
bar
coming
still
down.
pretty high.
That was the ultimate, the collateral
Control of the
damage.
river for the moment.
from
Darmon have a lot of
Graves.
options for getting over this wall if they
He
want
just
to.
fired the
Blast
Buster
Zone
Shot.
also there. They want to contest
whatever
this
it's
rate.
called.
Positioning still better
He just fired
for
the
EDG.
ult.
Showmaker dives into the pit,
For no
sorts his
reason.
way out. Now
Drake
it's just
goes
a
down,
break-off,
but
and EDG bursts down the Drake,
that's
and now there's
Predator
nothing to follow
Rakan
Darmon
looking to
can
go in.
Look, EDG also have
He's
control
stepping
of the
forward.
mid-wave, so they should be able to push this one out as Darmon is looking for picks. The root comes down.
Ryze is going to lock up. They've locked down Showmaker, but the re-engage is coming out from the Rakan. They got away. Everyone's just getting out. There's no more deaths going to happen.
We don't have an ulti out of the Ziggs, so Scout is going to be okay.
Mako has ice in his
Jhin
veins.
didn't open
He
up
is
there,
not wasting this
so
cooldown. He's like, Scout, walk
that
it
could have been
off,
a kill.
okay? You're gonna be
But
fine.
this is
not using my
overall-
ultimate and saving
That was a
these
good
critical
fight for
moments
Damwon,
really does
considering
make
the fact
difference
that
between
they
life
were
and
the ones
death. It does
engaged
mean
upon.
The difference between Damwon still pushing down an objective
And
afterwards.
they still managed to
The
get
huge
themselves
chunk in health is
the
enough
mid
to
lane
still
tier
earn them
1.
that objective.
That opens up the map quite
Very
well.
tense moment there,
Top
because you can
lane's
see
going to be
that
pushed
EDG
in.
was
That's
making
going
it
to take
very
that turret
difficult
probably
for
down to
Darmon
half
to get a
HP.
pick. They were positioning themselves in a very traditional front-to-back manner where the Jarvan was constantly on the front line, forcing Darmon to come into him and saying, if you're going to engage, I'm the target that you're going to force. Meanwhile, Scout was hovering just behind him, waiting for those potential pick opportunities, and Darmon really struggled to gain access into the river. That meant that they couldn't really contest the Drake, and it wasn't until after when EDG spread out a little bit more that then they could look for that pick. Unfortunately for Darmon, they couldn't really convert it into a kill, but as you rightly
Oh
said,
yeah,
Kobe,
I
they
should
did get
point out,
themselves
do you
a
like my banner?
Exactly, though. I love the positioning because it's so important for
It's
EDG,
going to be
and
shown
it's-
off in a
it's gonna be
video
a lot on watching the
soon,
support
but
because for
all
Mako,
hail the
he
Queen's
has to
Quest,
remain
Queen
close enough
Tami
to Viper to be
Hayashishita
able
on my
to,
wall.
obviously give him the speed boost and be around for the ultimate for whoever's getting focused, but also separate himself so that they don't get caught in the Rakan combo. You know, Barrow with the Predator is constantly looking for pockets of Fog of War to find those engages, and if you can lock up both targets, that's where you get your win.
I very much agree with you, Kobe, because I think that Beryl finding a flank
Interesting
is gonna be the
that
most
none of the
important thing
control
for
wards have
Darmon,
been
because
put down
the combination
by
with Yasuo
EDG
immediately
other
gives
than
you
the one
access onto
in
the back line,
the
and the moment
River
that
Brush.
chaos begins, that is where Darmon's better set up for success with their highly mobile composition.
Yeah, that's why in
Also,
the mid
it's
game, we're gonna
really
be
weird how there
hyper-focused
isn't
on
actually...
this Vision
There
game.
is that.
Vision
Never mind, I'm
is
an
definitely
idiot.
not one of the easiest
I forget
metrics
that
for
exists on
people
the
to
other
track,
side of the map.
for team successes because it's not on scoreboard. You know, like the gold in Drake's lights.
To be fair, it's a
very easy
weird
for you, but
brush,
it is
because it
critical
never
to the
really
success of
properly
their
gets
operations here.
utilized
See, Showmaker is
in
LeBlanc,
League.
plus he has flash, so a lot of
It's
tools
just
to try and
there
get away from this
to
one. Jarvan
hide
is not
control
the best
wards.
at setting up any sort of ganks on
That's
LeBlanc.
its only
He should be alright.
uses.
Very
Uh-oh.
good. I'm gonna move on in. Let's see whether the Rune Prison comes out. And
Oh no, it's Showmaker.
We have
He can just
a,
distort back
distortion
to
available.
safety.
Of course, the Mimic also having to be used. That's on basically cooldown, so never mind that one. Baron has spawned a couple of minutes ago. could be something potentially worth fighting over, but I love that you bring up Vision. I wanted to talk about this because both of these teams want to do different things. EDG, phenomenal 5v5 style of composition, but Damwon, they want to split you up around their map. They want to play those shadow games, and like you were talking about, you need vision control if you're going to do that.
You certainly do, and I think that right now, when we kind of have a quick look at the map, you can see that there's a lot of control in favor of Damwon when it comes to the river. They have good access into the top side. They have a couple wards littered around the bottom side as well.
Forward once the double distort comes through.
Nice. Mid very well. When we talk about that mid tower going
Gold-wise,
initially it doesn't look like
2k
that
in
much
favor of
advantage.
EDG isn't a lot, because Damwon can still come back.
Control the river, it means that you have access to move towards these side lanes, and they just use that to be able to protect their top lane tier 1.
Another tactic Damwon can utilize, because they're enabled by this Ziggs plus 2 possible split pushers here with high amounts of burst damage, is
overall it's doing pretty good.
Put Ghost and Barrow mid lane as we see the chase through the river.
Yeah.
You keep them mid lane.
EDG controlling the rivers until that Scuttle Grab got took.
Then you can force a play out of Fog of War on either the Yasuo or the LeBlanc's lane, and have Ghost just travel halfway and throw the ultimate. That amount of extra damage and the burst damage can come through to get you that actual kill for your split pusher, while still knowing that the Zilean is kind of forced mid to keep the Jhin safe, and you try and utilize.
I love the fact that Zil can just put Izzy onto the Jarvan and allow him to run all the way up into the backline. TP is going to be used, and oh, it's Ocean Soul this game.
Jungler right now is Canyon becomes lightning, but unable to find a target quite yet. As Flandre trying to rotate up, JJ down quite low. The chains will connect, but not able to follow up.
Good smoke screen there from Flandre.
Still 2,000 gold the lead for EDG, and they're controlling this river. 15 seconds on the Drake, which is what they have.
I like how it took him
for EDG if they can lock
that
it down.
to actually see the vision
damage here from Showmaker.
From
it's going to be fine. They get vision of the Jarvan, and that's who they want to take down. Damwon, they have to remember they're going to have to do it twice if they want it to stick.
Damwon just leveraging their poke right now. A lot
Showmaker.
of
yeah, Scout now going to take a lot of damage. There is the Chrono Shift, and EDG not able to follow up.
They can't protect him.
Comes out, but not able to do relevant damage. Ghost getting taken down so low.
Scout has TP. He's going to come back.
Now going to be backing away. EDG still running in wait with control of that brush.
Scout is getting out of range, so he can revive back or heal back up at the tower and then teleport out. It's going to get dangerous for Damwon. Showmaker flirting.
Where's he TPing? Oh, he's straight into the brush next to him.
Yep, Showmaker gonna dive into the pit.
Oh, I thought he got it with a chain.
And that is going to be soul point for EDG.
But they're transitioning up to Baron.
For the Chinese squad.
And we're seeing once again how valuable the Zilean
There's no vision. They're going for it. They're going. They're TPing as well. There's no vision here for the LPL. EDG are kind of tentatively coming.
They're going into the river. Headstrong.
Was that the Everfrost from him?
It looks like they're going to make him second guess it. I think we've got some technical problems over there. Are you good?
Yeah, yep, I'm absolutely fine. We've sorted it out. We're looking for a Baron here, and Damwon Kia taking it down to about 4k. Flandre.
It's still dropping. They haven't even invested vision into it.
Have to get out of there. Great satchel charge to try and divide them. And now JJ, maybe they're the ones.
The Realm Warp. Oh, they've caught him. They caught the Yasuo, but he's going to get the Rise of Chrono Shift. Oh my days, Zilean's drop, but it's 2 for 1. This is now such a split fight, as EDG are going to have to run. That's just a dead ADC as Jhin is forced down.
Down goes Viper. And now EDG looking to try and get out. 3 versus 3 for now.
And they can go back to Baron, maybe.
And with the scattered fight, they actually chase them down.
Canyon's still alive.
Back up and they just make the all-in. Convert onto Viper.
That was such a good play out of Damwon. Honestly, they switched targets. They didn't allow the revive to come through onto Scout, so they essentially did work. Let's just watch. Yeah, when you have Beryl and Showmaker here on the backside, they're the engage, and when they've gotten ease of access onto the backline, that's just easy for them to use their splitness here, Damwon, to then pick off the clumped up members of EDG.
Getting kills overall, resulting in a 2 for 2.
But 2 for 2 overall, and that looked really good for Damwon in terms of getting themselves back into the game. Because trading even in this sort of situation is always good for the team behind, because it means that there's less gold on the map for the team that's ahead. And yeah, you technically have less gold, but their gold's worth more than yours, so you're always trading upwards. That's where you get the value out of these sorts of plays. So Damwon are inching themselves back into the game. The issue for them is I still feel that Damwon get outscaled thanks to the Zillion, who can just excel levels late game really quickly. So it's pretty easy for them to actually just keep the game going in the EDG side of things. Plus with Soul in 2 minutes, yeah, that's definitely favored for EDG if they get that. Because then I don't think Damwon can outscale. That just becomes impossible to beat. Because you just have constant healing throughout the entire team fights. I thought for a second they're going to go for the Baron there, but no. They've just cleared out the vision.
Right now they're going toe-to-toe with Damwon.
And their focus on committing to this style. When they walked up to Rift Herald #2 and forced it through and had the confidence playing off of that revive and forcing it through, that's where they really retook control of this game. Because yeah, Rift Herald #1 was terrible for them, and Damwon had a very good early start.
Overall, this is pretty
EDG remained true to themselves. A lot
in terms of the first game. It's been quite quiet in terms of action, let's be honest. We've only had 2 team fights, but it's been a very solid fight overall as Flandre's going into the Rakan, but there's a re-engage. Oh my days, he does a lot of damage. Oh, he got away. That was pretty good for Flandre in terms of the fact that he almost killed 2 people, but he was really low.
1 versus 2 and is able to get away with his life as well. Wow, didn't have to burn the flash because he didn't have it. Does get the ignite out from Beryl. Can go back to base. TP comes through from Khan. TP is up from Flandre. Not going to use it yet.
Oh, there's a lot of poke down. Electrocute proc.
And notice, Damwon are just trying to poke around here.
They're just keeping him away from the Baron. They're taking it. It is going slowly, but they know it's happening now.
Vision as soon as he comes out of that brush, but EDG, they can go for an answer here. Control ward in the pit. They know exactly the health bar, and Damwon Kia.
The Ziggs Hex Trap just is so hard to get through. But here comes Flandre. They land the lockup, the Cataclysm onto it, and that's Showmaker dead! Oh my days! The stopwatch comes through as well, the shielding comes through. He's got the Zillion ult, and that is just EDG wiping the floor with Damwon. The re-engage comes through, but it doesn't matter, he gets popped. And now Ghost is on the wrong side of the map, and he is gonna die. As EDG, the last hope of the LPL, take out Damwon Kia around the Baron pit, and they're gonna secure themselves a big purple worm. Such a good play. And the Drake on top of it. Oh, they're getting soul. This is game done. Game is over. One fight has just opened up EDG's game. They're not going to lose this game. If they lose it, that's a throw. It is a throw if they lose now.
They get the Baron, they get the soul, and they are looking to get game 1 in this best of 5.
This is so
and just watch how this works. So it's just Jarvan. Ultimate in, flash forward, boom. Curtain Call just gets thrown out, hits
complete trust in their teammates.
one person and it does 0 damage, so the Jhin didn't do much. And yeah, they just wiped the floor with Damwon.
Extra effort towards their team fight. They're the ones with the Zillion scaling so well here towards the later stages.
They know it's happened.
Destroy the entire
when you pick off Showmaker, what can Damwon actually do? Because he's the guy that's causing all the issues for EDG in terms of the fact that he's coming from awkward angles, putting down a lot of poke chip damage, and that's how Damwon Kia have been winning the fights, is if Showmaker can lock up a target. But
Damwon, the defending world champions,
Damwon are doing
so heavily down
a lot in this World Championships from behind situations. They could quite easily come back. Though the issue is, the inhibitors are all falling. Everything is dying.
But there is no real option. Khan's going to be backing. Look to try and get back and assist the rest of his team, but his
He lands the chains.
blown up, gentlemen.
But that's LeBlanc dropping. He got took really low. Jin does work. Realm up to top side. They took some minions. They took minions from mid. Oh god, that is so good. And they're gonna get a lot of damage down. They have a canyon. They have a cannon. But it's gonna get cleared out. Baron's dropping in a minute. Yeah, that's the end of the play. They've done so well here, EDG, with this Baron. 4k gold off of it. Oh, this is just solid. They're up 8k at 30 minutes.
8,000 gold is their lead. 2 inhibitors are down. This is poised to be EDG taking game 1.
This is just so big for them, Atlas. The poise that they have had on stage, the composure here, unperturbed by a lot of this pick potential from Damwon. And for them to execute here in finals after just this year, finally breaking their quarterfinal curse, is so big for them, so big for the region. They've been to Worlds 5 times.
Are they looking for a pick-in?
And never gotten past quarterfinals. And now already getting a leg up in the finals. Remnants of this Baron power play will
Jeez, that tells you everything about EDG. Never made it to the finals, never made it to semis at World Championships. But they're a solid LPL title winner. They've won 1 MSI, and then in them 7 international appearances, they've only won one thing.
#1 seed of LPL, and highly disappointed the region by not getting past quarterfinals. But this is why it's such a big triumph for them to be here and to get the lead.
Well, let's see whether they can close it out. That lady certainly started warming up her voice, but she hasn't quite.
You can hear her in the distance, Atlas?
Yeah, there's some yodeling happening. I can hear it in the far reaches, but it hasn't started just yet for real.
This honestly is probably going to be the last stand from Damwon.
But EDG are just so strong.
They've got Ocean Soul here, and they can just stay in the base of Damwon. But the mini wave is finally hitting the turret. The Jarvan's going to go forward. They can't clear this wave. Oh, the Cataclysm comes through. He's locked down the Xin. But here comes the Rakan going into backline. He's just popped. And this is just damage being thrown down. The wind wall blocks all the shots. And down goes the Nexus. Showmaker is down. Down goes Ziggs. And that is all of Damwon Kia falling. Never mind. The GA is purchased. And Xin is down. Damwon Kia are losing game 1 to EDG.
With a very strong performance in game
What a game 1.
To their style. They got exactly
like,
what they wanted.
I remember the group stage saying EDG were one of the weaker teams as a first seed for their region. And look at them come back into the finals. What a game to open it up.
Wow, this team is so easy to predict.
And it's actually amazing. You look at how they play with the Viper being the main carry. He was silent during that game.
The Zillion that they showed,
and the Zillion just gave JJ the engage that then won the G game. That was solid from the support of the LPL side.
Check out Damwon Kia's song that represents their playstyle. Go or Stop by Sunmi, along with the songs for the rest of the teams participating at Worlds 2021 on the official LoL playlist on Spotify. In the meantime, we're taking a short break, but we'll be right back for another look at Game 1 of the Worlds Final.
What a great first game in the series. That's all I can say. I'm going to be intrigued to see how Damwon bite back, and is the Zillion going to be banned?